Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. It's your boy DJ Mad Scientist. Yes, I am here. You are here, and I am here, as I am every Wednesday. Little late, but I had to make some last minute decisions and had a discussion, and we figured it out. Me and my team, we figured it out. What we're gonna do, and then we said, okay, let's go do it. Let's get to it. Now, normally, I'll be honest with you. Normally, I try to stay away from politics. I literally go out of my way to stay out of politics. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys listen to me on a weekly basis or on a daily basis on my radio station. I always say, staying out of this politics. I mean, it's not like I can't talk politics. I mean, to be honest, and a lot of you guys know, I'm a college educated person. And at the same time, my degree is Africana Studies. What does that mean? Meaning part of Africana Studies is political science. So I've literally studied political science. Part of Africana Studies is studying history. So I've literally studied history. So, and then I grew up under parents who made sure I understood civics. You know, we voted. It was in our family, that's what we did. My mom used to call me and make sure I voted and then made sure I voted for the right person. I remember the year she was so mad um, when I voted for, I was young. I voted for Schwarzenegger. I was like, he's a Terminator. I was like, he's a Terminator. Who doesn't vote for the Terminator, right? But the point is, voting has always been something that has been very important in my family. I make sure my son votes, primarily because I understand it to be an exhibition of power. You know, in America, we have the ultimate superpower, which is way more powerful than an atomic weapon, an atomic bomb. And at the end of the day, it's the one power that Americans have that is not shared by everyone on the planet, even today. Even today. Um, so I, be honest with you, I'm gonna exhibit my power because it's the only power that we can exhibit that is legal and can have the most effect. Meaning that any other power that you may think that you have, if you exert too much of it, it can become abusive or toxic. Whereas with voting, you can never vote too much. Like you voted one too many times, that'll never happen. So I like to exhibit that one power, and it's a peaceful power too. That's the great thing about voting. It's a peaceful power. It's something that you can do, and not everyone's going to agree with your vote. And not everyone's going to agree that I did vote. But at the end of the day, everyone stays alive. Everyone's going to be here after I vote. No one's going to be like taken out or anything. That's the great thing about voting. It is a superpower. It's the greatest power, which is why, like, for the most part in American history, there have been those who hold political power who try to harness, sway, dissuade, or try to stop people from voting because when you're in political positions, you just don't want everyone to vote. Somebody may vote against you. No matter what party you're a part of, you don't want people voting against you. You just don't. So you may try to dissuade people. You might try to persuade people. And in some situations, some politicians have just tried to stop people from voting. And so that's my background. So I could literally sit here and have a political show. But what I try to do in this moment, in this time in history, in my history, my personal history, is to do things that I like to do things I want to do things I'm passionate about. And what I am passionate about is music. That's why I talk music. I talk about music topics on Wednesday, and then I talk about music marketing on Friday because that's what I love to do. I'm in love with music. There are those who know me who would say I love music more than anything or anybody. And in some cases, it's true. I may love music more than you. And some cases, not my son. I love my son more than music. But in some cases, I may love music more than you. It may not be wise, it may not be the best decision. I know. I know. Trust me, I know. But the reality is that it's my passion. And whether I make $1 million or $1, I'm going to do music. That's it. Like I have no choice anyway. I've gotten past the point where I can, pad my resume and start a new career. you know, my resume is what it is, and when people look at it, they're like, "You should be doing music." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. You're right." So that's all to say. That's why I did not want to do politics. Did not want to have these discussions. But I also, at the same time, I'll be honest with you. Whenever there are discussions, I always pride myself on, you know, I want to be the person that if I had an opinion or if someone asked me for an opinion, that I would be able to give a thoughtful, educated answer. That I would be able to think about the answer deeply and rely on, you know, reading, rely on counsel from those who know more than me, rely on resources that I could like dig into and then be able to give the most thoughtful answer. Because I realize that once you become a celebrity, and honestly, I'm on a mission to becoming a celebrity. So once you become a celebrity, you are such an influence. Your words matter, your actions matter. And I want to be able to make sure that the words that I give can stand the test of time. That people 10 years from now, 20 years from now look back and say, mad scientist, he has something to say. And when he said it resonated, it made sense, it was truth, it was honesty. He wasn't just saying it to make more money, to be aligned with the right people, but he was saying it because it was true, it was facts, it was honesty, and it was loving. That's what I want to be able to do. That said, I had a discussion, very deep discussion with my team. I said, well, how do I say nothing? Like, literally, like, what am I going to talk about today? Like, I can go to TMZ and see what they're posting. Oh, yeah, I could talk about Coyle Ray. She posted something with like a bikini. Here we are in January, but she's got her bikini. She had a baby, I believe, but she's got her skinny body back with a little bit of weight. Tiana Taylor, hey, congratulations with the Golden Globe win. I can talk about that. Corrupt. Oh wow. Take care of yourself, brother. I mean, corrupt. He's got some serious health issues. We don't know what it is. Um, but prayers out to him. I mean, man, corrupt. I mean, I guess I'm at that age now where, whew, um, I guess I could do that. Oh, Cardi B is is getting ready for her tour. I will say this about Cardi B going on tour. That's the problem when you don't go right wing, is that you got to go out there on tour to make money because you got a family, you got things you got to take care of, got albums to sell. You know, because people on the left and progressive people, we don't just send money over to Cardi B. Nope. But we will buy tickets to see you dance and sing. So she's going to go out. Um, but she's got to go out and make that money. I guess I could have talked about all that. And those will be good things to talk about. I mean, honestly, what I like about the hip hop space right now is that nobody's going through RICO charges. Nobody is, getting shot up. There's no Chirac. There's not a lot of violence going on. Um, and I guess it should be like I would be totally cool with just talking about, oh, guess what? Boosie is not going to prison. That's great. Okay. Like I would totally be cool with talking about that. Like, and doing a deep dive. I'll do a deep dive on Boosie not going to prison. Okay. I actually think, yes, he can be toxic. But the thing about Boosie is that as toxic as he is, he keeps it to his family. You don't hear no problems of like women coming out talking about, ooh, he did this to me or did that to me. You don't see him really going out and targeting guys, for any kind of violence. Bootsy just likes to, he's just what we call hedonistic. He only likes to do things that seem fun to him. And I think that's kind of cool. I'm not saying everything he does is fun. I'm just saying he thinks it's fun and he only wants to do what's fun to him. And he gets people that participate in the fun with him. Right? I, how you gonna be mad at that? How you gonna be mad at Bootsy doing stuff? Oh, shout out to Fetty Wap. I guess I could have did this, right? Because I'm actually going down TMZ's website and talking about. So I am a little bit talking about what's going on in music. Fetty Wap got out of prison early. He's happy. He was on the Breakfast Club and he was talking about how hard it is for him to replicate the success he had when he first came out. It is very difficult at times to come up with a wave that is so big as the one he had when he first dropped. I mean, I still play that song again. If baby. I don't know the words. Driving me crazy. And birthday, I'm on my way. It's hard to replicate that, and he hasn't been able to do it. But keep trying, brother, keep trying. I mean, that's all we got. That's all we got is music, and then um, we could talk about Diddy ain't getting no pardon. He's not getting a pardon from Trump. The thing about Trump is he's got man, he's petty. And if you've wronged him before, he just got no reason, no rhyme, no reason to like give you anything. So I don't think, I thought maybe, you know, Diddy could get out early from a Biden, not a Biden, but a Trump pardon. But I don't see Diddy doing what it takes in order to get that pardon from Trump. He ain't gonna do it. And I think Trump knows. Like he may say he'll do it, but he ain't gonna do it with his full heart. And we could say a lot of things about Diddy, but Diddy just don't do anything that he don't want to do. He ain't gonna do it. I think he's gonna get out of. I personally, and I expect it, and I'm not even mad. I would just tell Diddy, look, my expectation is that when you get out, you're gonna be unapologetically you. I would suggest you get with people who want to be with you for real. Like stop chasing people who don't want to be with you. And when they're ready to go, let them go. It's a very hard thing. The male ego, it is very fragile. And when you are thinking, I'm Diddy, you should want to be with me, and then somebody don't want to be with you, how do you handle that? And my suggestion is that you just be like, all right, I'm Diddy. Somebody gonna want to be at this freak off. I mean, because I don't think the freak off is really illegal. It's just that he has to get it has to be for free. You don't have to find some people who want to do it for no money and without drugs. Like they just have to just get some of your Ciroc. You know what I'm saying? That's the most you can use is your Ciroc, maybe some recreational marijuana. So you got to do it maybe in California, right? Get you one of those marijuana cards. Um, you know, get some Ciroc, and that'll be it. And you can't be paying. You gotta find some people that just want to do it just for the love of freak offs. And I think you'll find some people that wouldn't just do it for the love of freak offs. I think that's what Diddy's gonna do. He's gonna double down and just be Diddy. And I think he's gonna be like, yo, y'all voted for a man who does what he wants to do. Like this President Trump literally gave somebody the finger. Or we can just segue into what we don't really talk about is ICE is out here shooting people in the face. They don't even care. In fact, they doubling down. They're like, yo, if you don't want that same kind of energy, don't come talking to us. Like this ain't gonna be no you yelling at me, you in my face, and we just gonna stand there and take it. Nope. We are the ICE agency, the Department of ICE, those agents out there, they are about being bullies. Bullies. And the more they have been paid to be bullies, and they understand these guys on IG. There was a IG reel out, or whatever you want to call it, a clip out where there was a person who was saying, yeah, I'm a physician's assistant. I make over $200,000. And the ICE agent was like, so how many years you had to go to school for that? I went to school for 7 years. Sounds about right. He was like, well, all I have is a high school diploma, and I make as much money as you did. And I have to spend all that time in school. Which I want to start off my discussion with you today with just that. You have ICE agents who, for the most part, are men. And I'm not saying all of them, but most part are men who American citizens, but for the most part, have no other options in order to generate income. The thing that I'm realizing, well, let me first say this. The reason why I'm talking about it and I'm going to talk about it today is because I wanted to get into this, is because here we are at this moment where we are dealing with this kind of political structure where you have a government who has decided, and I'm talking about a federal government who has decided, along with some states, who has decided to bully its citizens. And in the case of the states, its residents. And they came in under the guise of we're going to take out the criminal elements in our society who were not born here. And a lot of people trusted that government would do what government says it would literally do. A lot of people thought government would be responsible and follow the law. A lot of people thought, yeah, well, under Biden, I was making money, but it wasn't a lot of money. So you could make good money, but it wasn't, I'm going to get rich right now kind of money. It wasn't, I could sit at home and talk on YouTube and get YouTube checks, $20,000, $30,000, because that's what happened during the pandemic, or during the great hip hop beef between Kendrick and Drake, where you could just talk about them and make so much money, get so many views, no matter who you were. See, America had become so addicted to bubbles. I remember the housing bubble, where people were just making so much money quickly, and they weren't really qualified to make that money, but they were making a ton of money. You could be an agent and go from making maybe 30, like in my case, I was making 50 grand, became a real estate agent, and now you're making over $150,000. And I was just merely telling people, hey, give me $1,000, I'll give you the key to your home, to your dream home at that. That's incredible. And that's intoxicating when you're making $15,000, $20,000 checks every month. And all you're doing is giving people keys to a house. I remember one time I had a $12,000 check in my car, in my glove compartment. And I showed my friend, and he was like, so you just got a $12,000 check in your glove compartment. You haven't put it in the bank. You're not even stressing. I'm like, I got the idea because I remember the person who convinced me to quit my job had a $25,000 check in his drawer. He was like, mad scientist. He didn't call me mad scientist, but he was like, mad scientist, you need to go ahead and quit your job. I'm like, really? He's like, bro, I got a $25,000 check in my drawer. Like, just money was popping like that. And so, yeah, I can understand, like, when people were voting for Trump, they wanted that again. Like, we're all waiting for that moment where in America, to be honest, I mean, let's just be honest. We're all waiting for the moment where we could just do something simple, regardless of our qualifications, and just make those $20,000 checks, make those $12,000 checks, and just have them laying around. If you've never had that happen to you, you've missed out on one of the pleasures of life. Okay. It'll make you just kind of forget everything. And I've had that moment. And so when a lot of people voted for Trump, they were waiting. They thought, okay, we're gonna get Trump in, and we're gonna have that moment again. We're gonna have that moment where we can have those $20,000, $30,000 checks just come. We're not qualified really, but we got it. Well, yeah, it did happen, but what we're realizing is those checks was going to people who were willing to be ICE agents. They got $50,000 signing bonus. Most of those people are not qualified. As that guy said on that Instagram post, I just graduated high school and I make 200 grand. And it's hard to think, man, come on, y'all. You know this is wrong. He's probably like, I'll never make this kind of money again doing something that is sanctioned by the government that they say is legal. I'm not selling drugs. You want me to go out there and bash my head against another head playing football? You want me to, you know, if these guys were to go to war, as a real estate agent, I dealt with a lot of veterans. If these guys were to go and fight for their country, do the patriotic thing, they would not make $200,000. They would not get a $50,000 signing bonus. They would not. And after they go and maybe lose a limb or get PTSD, come back home, America would not take care of them. Would not. That's the reality. That's realness. So here we are. We are dealing with a federal government that we all voted for. I didn't personally. I'll be honest with you. I voted for the Democrats. I voted for Vice President Harris because, again, let me say, I read history, I've studied history, and I kind of saw this coming. You don't need to be a psychic to see it coming. In fact, I was listening to um, Lori Daniels Favors. I think that's her name. And she said something very insightful this morning. She said, everybody's saying that America's going rogue. She said, no, America's not going rogue. America's going back to its origin story. This is what America's always done. What we are witnessing now is what America has always done. What was rogue was Reconstruction, which happened for 10 years. And then what I feel like is the 6 years between the civil rights signing of the civil rights legislature between 64 and 60, let's just call it 70, but really it's 68. So I'll call it 4 to 6 years. That was the rogue period. America's always been this way. America has always been this way. We've always had a segment of our society that we deem undesirable. And for the most part, for the longest part, it's been my ancestors, those who were relegated to plantations, those who were seen as property. They've always been here. And then, if you go through history, we've had the Chinese, we've had the Japanese, we've had the Mexicans, we've had, the European immigrants went through their little session for a quick second. But for the most part, we've always had a part of our society that we deem as the bottom, as the ones that we can exploit for labor, as the ones that we could pretty much dump on. I want to think of I have a different word in my head, but I don't want to cuss. But we've always had one society that we've taken advantage of, exploited, and dumped on. And then when we were done with them, we decided to discard them in various ways, whether it's through murder, jail, or just deportation. We've always had that. So we can't say that, oh, this is something new. Like, no, it's not. It's something we've always been doing. But getting back to, let me digress a little bit. Yeah, we all thought, Americans thought, hey, if we just voted for Trump, happy days will be here again. And the reality is that the only people who are receiving those quick money are those who are willing to join ICE. Now, for me, and the reason why I'm going through this is because I want there to be a historical record. I want there to be uh, a I want to be able to say that in this moment, I was not one of the many black men, and yes, I'm black. You can see me clearly on my screen. I'm black, who chose to involve themselves in what I call the ideology of white supremacy. And I'm going to call it that plain and clear. I talked about this last week. The fact of the matter is, there has always been, we talked about William Ellison, but who own other African humans from South Carolina. We talked about other people in Louisiana that were descendants of Africa who owned other Africans, who enslaved other Africans. So right now, there are black men within the hip hop community who are choosing to serve and to praise and to sell and to promote the ideology of white supremacy. You know, when I was in college, I couldn't understand why many of the people that I considered heroes, you know, um, Angela Davis is a devout socialist and communist. Like, she literally went to Germany to study this. And I was like, she is such a hero. Like, how could she choose to go that way? And famously, Dr. Martin Luther King told Andrew Jackson, hey, you're a capitalist. As to say, like, yo, that's a problem. You know, and I could never understand, like, what's the point? And now, as I am maturing and growing, I realize I'm growing in business, knowledge, that the capitalism that I studied from Adam Smith, just like Christianity, once it hit here in America, had been perverted by white supremacy. That the capitalism that I thought was cooperative economics had been perverted by white supremacy. And the fact of the matter is that the only way that you can become successful at certain levels in capitalism in America is to serve, is to promote, is to um, is to the word is just like escaping me. But you're gonna have to serve under the master, under the tutelage, under the ideology of white supremacy. That's just a fact. Why? Because our laws, see, capitalism, you have to understand capitalism is shaped by the laws of the land. So if the laws are racist, the laws are based on white supremacy, capitalism will be shaped by white supremacy. If the social norms are shaped by white supremacy, capitalism that is shaped by social norms will be um, based upon white supremacy. That's just, I don't like to use the word fact, because when I use the word fact, I use it as a scientific term, to be honest. But the fact of the matter is that in order for you to make a certain amount of money in this system, you have to know how to work the system. And to work the system, the more, like, just give you a little bit about me. I'm looking to go back to business school or take some business classes. And so I'm looking at people on YouTube talk about, the benefits of getting an MBA. And some of these people have gone to like some of the top schools, Harvard, Stanford, Penn, Wharton. Well, that Wharton is at Penn. Um, I look at how they talk. I look at their language. I look at their tone, and I don't see me. And when I say me, I don't see an Afro-centered tone or an Afro-centered language. I don't see it. I see a very Eurocentric tone, language, words, mindset. And I'm saying, wow, these are our top business people. And this is how they relate to each other. Doesn't matter the color. Some of the people I was watching, they clearly were of Asian descent, but they used words, they spoke, and their tone everything was Eurocentric. There were some people who were Black. Clearly they were Black, and still the same thing. Their tone, their language, everything was Eurocentric. And so that just lets me know that if in order to make money, you must understand how business operates, you must give in to the altar of white supremacy. Now you're probably thinking like, oh my God, mad scientist, this is not what I was tuned in for. This is not what I was not promised this. I was not promised this. Like, you're totally switching. What are you doing? What is this? A Black history lesson? Is it Africana studies lecture? No, 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 no. Relax, relax. What I'm trying to do is just be responsible, because right now, uh, they're shooting in Minneapolis, and it would be crazy for me to be talking about Coyle Ray's um, bikini, and I've got breaking news about shootings in Minneapolis on a TV screen. I just feel that way. And I've got to contribute to the conversation in some kind of way. In some kind of way, mad scientist has to be bold enough to contribute to the conversation. If not, then everything that I am is a waste of time, right? How do I get on these airwaves talking about, oh, I got this education, but oh, let me have an opinion on this person, but in most difficult time, I had nothing to say. So yeah, this is the week where pretty much we're not talking about Boosie and his affinity towards hedonistic behavior. And shout out to, once again, shout out to Corrupt, one of the best hip hop MCs ever to grab a mic. I know he got caught up into the West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, but at the end of the day, he was very, very good at what he did. And if these are his last days, then we were blessed to know him. Shout out to you, Corrupt. Shout out to you, Corrupt. And may God bless you and your family. But back to the moment at hand, we're going to have to hold on tight. Let's get to a solution. I'm just going off the top. I don't have this written out. Me and my team, we made this at the last minute discussion. Like, yo, are we really going to do hot topics? And we were discussing it for a good hour, and I didn't have time to like put together a script. So I'm just going off the top of my head. I'm just going off the rip. So what do? First and foremost, you hold tight. You hold tight. Secondly, you educate yourself. This is not the time to be listening to influencers. This is not the time to be talking about what does Ice Cube have to say about this. This is not the time to be listening to 50 Cent or any of these other celebrities out there who decided for clicks, and for attention. Let me say something wild. This is the time where education will be key because you will not know what to do unless you are educated, unless you sit down, be quiet, grab a book or an Audible and actually learn, because history is the roadmap forward. Let me say it again, and I'm quoting myself. History is the roadmap forward into the future. It's why, I mean, not highly religious, but most of the Bible is history. I mean, you really only have a couple books in the Bible that talk about what's going to happen in the future. Everything else is history. Okay? Everything else is history because by reading history, human beings tend to do the same thing over and over again. This country was founded, this nation was founded, actually, it was 13 colonies that were founded, but they came together as one nation by men who felt that their European ancestry made them superior to everyone else. And they did everything they could to protect it, including fight a king. Got to remember, George Washington and all of them, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, they literally went to war with the most powerful empire on the planet at the time. They literally did that, which says that they will do whatever it takes in order to maintain power. And what was the reason? Just because the king just wanted a little bit more taxes. Not a little bit, he wanted a lot more taxes. But you know, it was about money. I know the propaganda in America likes to say, oh no, it's because they wanted freedom. They already had that freedom. They had that fight in 1200. Okay. In fact, the king was like, hey, go over there to those colonies. I'll give you the money. This is a bit that American Revolution was a business dispute. Okay. I'll give you the money and everything you need and the protection. Go on over there, make your money. He just wanted a little bit more. Not a little bit, but he wanted more money. And the 13 colonies said, nah, we don't want to pay y'all no more money. We're done paying the money. It was a business dispute. It's like the nurses in New York going on strike. They want more money. And the hospital, the people who administrate the hospital are like, nah, you don't get that. It's not about freedom. The king had said at that time, all right, how much more money you guys need? I won't tax y'all as much. We'd still be 13 colonies. And more than likely, I'd be on a plantation right now. So it was a business dispute. And these men were willing to do everything they had to in order to maintain their supremacy. And in that revolution, they never once thought about saying, you know, these people we got over here working for free and we're raping them and enslaving them and everything else. We're exploiting their labor. You know what? Let's give them some freedom too. Y'all go over there because we don't want to be around you, but you guys get to be free. Imagine that. They had said, you know, go way over there. I don't know what's over there, but y'all go way over there. Go west. We're going to stay over here. If you come back over here, we're going to put you on a plantation. I wonder what America would look like today if they just told all those Africans, just go over there, go west. Crazy, huh? So back to the point, you have these people who are now in power and they are going to stay in power. The thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to educate yourself, and then you're going to have to accept some certain hard facts. There are some people within our community, hip hop and the Black community, who are willing to sell white supremacy to the community. Very similar to people who were willing to sell drugs to the black community. We could talk about Reagan, but at the end of the day, Reagan never really came. He never came to my hood, which was Compton, selling crack. Reagan never did that. It was my classmates. It was the people who lived on my block. They chose to sell the crack. They chose to sell the drugs. They chose to fight other people. They chose to shoot other people. They chose violence. And as hard as it is to accept sometimes, we have people within our midst who, for whatever reason, some of them say it's economics. I didn't have a good family role model. Mad scientist, you had a good family. You had a mom and dad. I didn't have direction. I didn't know what to do. And you know what? And I believe that. Do I think a 12-year-old kid, 13-year-old kid, and yeah, that was happening, a 16-year-old kid woke up one day and said, I want to bring down the black community? No, I don't think so. Do I think that maybe if I'm forced to survive and I didn't have two parents that were just taking care of me, that made sure I had everything I needed, made sure I was safe, made sure I had a house over my roof over my head, made sure I had clothes on my feet, food in my belly, that maybe I would have too joined and been one of those people who were willing to sell drugs. Yeah. So I understand that. But we also have to understand that it's a reality that we have people within our community that are doing it. And whatever their reason is, whatever their rationale is, doesn't really matter. What matters is that they are doing it. So yeah, you have a Stephen A. Smith who's trying to put white supremacy down our throats under the guise of I'm Stephen A. Smith and you know me, I talk sports. Yeah, you talk sports, Stephen A., and that's cool and all that. And you are entertaining. But now you're trying to convince me that the best thing for me is to accept white supremacy. And you can yell it, you can scream it, but at the end of the day, I read history. And what I found is that, and I'm going to end by saying this, for all those who may feel like, yeah, I need the money. I need the quick fix. Hey, mad scientist, didn't you say you took that $12,000, $20,000 money? You knew those people couldn't afford those houses. First of all, no, I did not. But yeah, I took those checks. Well, I want one too, mad scientist. I want a check. Let me have a $10,000 check and not have to worry about somebody shooting me, somebody coming after me. Let me have that. And in case of Stephen A. Smith, let me get my $100 million. Come on, bro. What you gonna say? I'm trying to feed my family. What I would tell everyone who doesn't read history, I do, is that most of the time, the money you make will be the money you use for bail. Shout out to Biggie. Will be the money you lose. Puffy, in order to make the money he made, he became enamored and he thought, I'm at this position. There's nothing that they can do to touch me. And I'm pretty sure there was a part of him that was thinking like, I'm just doing this in the comfort of my own home. I mean, I'm doing it with my girlfriend. She's my girlfriend. And I just told some dudes to come through. They willingly came through and I just paid for their trip and gave them a couple dollars and we doing what we do. Not realizing that, well, There's a thing called a Mann Act. They actually created a whole law for Jack Johnson because exclaimed to everyone that he can do whatever he wanted to do as a black man. And they created a Mann Act. And they showed him that the one thing you cannot do is be supreme because you're not white. So for all of you who are thinking, like, hey man, this is just the internet. I want to be cool with Aiden Ross. It's just different time. Y'all tripping. At the end of the day, Aiden Ross is done. He's going to make his little money and then he's going to be done. Pretty much he's done. But he's going to make his money. When he's not, when his bubble is over, it's nothing he can do. He can never go get a regular job. Look at George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman shot that kid, Trayvon Martin, gloated. He celebrated it. He made money off of it. And he is now homeless and broke. He can't get a regular job. He can't go back to school and say, I'm going to re-educate myself. And no. Same thing will happen to the other guy that I can't think of his name right now, the kid that went to Wisconsin, started shooting. And the same thing will happen to Aiden Ross and Neon. No matter, hey, save your money, guys, because this will be all the money you make. And when this bubble is done, and it will be done, I read history, so I know. It will be done. And so for all the black people in hip hop who are thinking like it's cool, let me just make this money. I got to feed my family. I got to do this for my kids. All that money you make, you are going to lose it. You are going to lose it. There are just too many examples of black people who did very well and learned the hard way. Well, you can't be supreme because you're not white. And we could sit here and try to extol them and throw them up, put them up on shoulders. And when they get out of jail, come back home, we give them a big party. But at the end of the day, they've lost it all. They've lost it all. And the only ones who survive really are the ones who exploit black people, exploit black labor, exploit black culture, exploit black spirituality. Shout out to all those preachers driving Lamborghinis. That is pretty much the essence of white supremacy's exploitation of black culture, black bodies, black minds, black spirituality, black culture, black music. Russell Simmons, where you at? He's in Bali. He's in Bali. So that's why I don't, as much as I could easily join the ranks of black people who decide to exploit black culture and everything else. But I read history and it dictates my movement forward. It says, yeah, you're going to make some quick money, but you're going to end up giving it back. The best thing to do is stay true to who you are. And it's slower money. I guarantee you that. It is slower money, And when I pass away, if I'm a celebrity, I will not get the big brouhaha. Okay. Will not. One of our best in the civil rights movement that was a celebrity, Aretha Franklin. Most people don't know that because Aretha Franklin just wanted to do music. She just wanted hits. She wanted to do her music, but she was a rampant supporter of the civil rights movement. She paid a lot of money, gave the civil rights movement a ton of money. And at the end of it, black people were there. They celebrated her, but That was it. She was gone. No one talks about her. So I'm cool with that. I'm good with that because at the end of the day, you got to make a decision about how you're going to live your life and how you're going to proceed forward in this life. And I want to live my life in a very productive way. I want to be wildly successful. And I know you're thinking like, mad scientist, you just said the only way you could be successful is through white supremacy. Yes, I did say that, and I acknowledge that. So I'm gonna try to figure out a way to be successful and not be a white supremacist. But at the point where I have to make a decision, this is your level of success. This is it. You're not gonna go any further unless you become a white supremacist. That's when I'll duck out. That's when I'll be like, okay, I'm done. All right, I'm through. It's over. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it. I know this is not the way that we usually proceed forward. Hopefully next week we can go back to our normal programming, but I ain't gonna even lie to you. I doubt it. All right, y'all. This your boy DJ Mad Scientist. I'll either see you on Friday where I'm gonna be talking about music marketing. I got some results for you to for those who come and they listen to my marketing show, you know what I mean. I got some results for you. So Friday, come see the results. Okay. I got some examples to show you, right? So you could actually see how I'm progressing. But come see me on Friday, 6 p.m. and I'll be on time, promise that. Um, if not, I'll see y'all next Wednesday. Hopefully, we'll have some more hot takes. I don't want to turn this into a political rant show. I don't want to do that. If we can't do hot takes, then I don't know. I'm going to have to come up with a different format. But I do want my voice in history to say I want there to be at least one week where I said, look, I'm not down for this white supremacy stuff. Don't count me in on that. I know we got a problem. And for those who are in the hip hop community who see me, you just gotta see me as, man, that's Mad Scientist, man. He got something he gotta say. He talked too slick. Yeah, but he always talking. Have you heard his music? I know, but still, like when you get to actually talk to him, he ain't falling for it. And I realize I'm gonna lose some brands, some deals, but that's okay because I know one thing: I'll never be white. And I know that coming in. So why even go down that road? All right, y'all. I will see y'all. You guys take care. Be safe out there. Peace.